in poor conditions, resulting into huge maintenance backlog if adequate resources are not committed for maintenance. The national road network comprises of 21,120 kilometers in total length, out of which 5,878.5, which is only 28%, is paved standard, and 15,241, which is 72%, is unpaved roads. As at July 2022, roads in fair and poor condition stood at 21%. That's 1,235 kilometers, which indicated a decline from 17% in 2021. At the same time, the unpaved national roads were generally fair, with a percentage of the network in poor category standing at 11% as compared to 18% in 2021. Due to the long rainy season experienced in the country since August last year to date, the condition of the national roads continue to deteriorate, and the kilometers of paved and unpaved network in fair and poor condition is likely to increase significantly. This has further been accelerated by delayed maintenance interventions due to budget separations, which we suffered in the financial year 2021-2022, and the inadequate release of budget funds, especially in Q1 of 2022-2023. The sections below provide details of disaggregated commitments on ongoing upgrading and maintenance projects, maintenance backlog, and requirements for the next 3 years. Major maintenance interventions. The following terms are used in road development and maintenance, and the explanations as below. Periodic maintenance, what does it mean? Periodic maintenance involves all maintenance works carried out on a road section after intervals of several years. The norm for paved roads being at intervals of 4 to 7 years, depending on the growth in traffic volume and action on environment and weather. The actual frequency of intervention is further determined using the asset management system, which we are developing within UNRA. Typical periodic maintenance works on paved roads include thin bituminous overlays, surface resealing, shoulder repairs, reinstatement, road marking, and reinstatement of road signs. Road rehabilitation. Rehabilitation includes activities that restore the original condition of the road through relatively extensive works like pavement layer reconstruction, mill and repress, reshaping of the cross-section, reconstruction of shoulders, drainage works, and thick overlays. I gave an example of Kampala-Jinja Road, and soon we shall be looking at Kampala-Masaka Road. The frequency of intervention depends on the traffic volume and the state of road deterioration. Intervals of rehabilitation interventions are expected to range from 10 to 15 years. However, where available, the frequency is again determined by the asset management system. Road reconstruction. When the road condition deteriorates to a very poor state, exhibiting weak and deteriorated pavement layers with a non-functional drainage system, then it requires full replacement. Reconstruction is undertaken to rebuild the road, pavement, and drainage system. In some instances, improvement of the subgrade strength and geometric realignment may be required. I gave an example of Matuga Kapeka Road, and also Mutukula, Chotera, Masaka. The frequency of intervention depends on the state of the road deterioration, which often triggers outcry from the road users for intervention. Road upgrade. Road upgrading includes works that improves the level of service of the road to beyond that of its original standard. Activities like road widening, lane addition, geometric improvement, pavement works, and related auxiliary works are executed. I gave the example of Enkunye Apache Road. Ongoing national roads projects. Periodic maintenance. UNRA is currently carrying out periodic maintenance on 2 paved national roads, covering a total of 93 kilometers, with a funding commitment of about 113 billion over the next 2 years. There are a number of tables there, and in table 1, you'll find those roads. I request the honorable members to look at those tables as we refer to them. Rehabilitation projects. There's ongoing rehabilitation of 6 paved national roads, covering a total distance of 531 kilometers, with funding commitment of about 682 billion over a period of the next 3 years. The roads are different progress of implementation as shown in table 2. Further to this, a total of 7 road rehabilitation projects covering a total distance of 324 kilometers were substantially completed in the financial year 2021-2022. These projects have outstanding payments such as retention funds in accordance with the contractual terms amounting to approximately 55 billion. The projects which were done include Namunsi Silonko Muyembe Kapchora Road, 65 kilometers, phase 1 and 2. Masaka Town Roads, 7.3 kilometers. Nakarama Tirinyimbali, 93, including Iganga Busembati and Namtumba Town Roads. Fort Portal and Tuhima, 55 kilometers. Chenjojo Fort Portal and Hima Katungulu and Kasese Town Roads and Hima Service Roads. Upgrading projects. Currently, there are road upgrading projects. These are roads which are being moved from gravel to tarmac. They are being upgraded to paved standards across the country, covering a total of 1,083 kilometers, with a committed funding requirement of approximately 1.8 trillion. The upgrading road projects are at the different levels of implementation, and they are as indicated in table 3. Further to this, a sum of approximately 243 billion shall be required to close projects that were substantially handed over between the financial year 2021 and 2022. Bridge development projects. Construction of bridges has continued across the national road network, and progress is at different levels. These are the number of bridges are many. They are referred there in table number 4. And currently 14 bridges with a funding requirement of 356 billion are under construction across the country. The bridges that were substantially completed in the financial year 2020-2021 and 21-22 will require at least 17 billion to cover retention monies for the respective services provided after the final project have been handed over. I refer you to 2.2, national roads under procurement. The list up there was showing the bridges which have been done. National roads under procurement, that's 2.2. We have 4 rehabilitation projects covering 323.5 kilometers, and these are in table 5. Externally financed strategic national roads and bridges. That's 2.2.2. A total of 13 projects covering a length of 720.8 kilometers have committed financing from development partners and shall require counterpart funding for land acquisition from government of Uganda. The estimated amount is Uganda shillings 354 billion, required over a period of 3 years to ensure timely acquisition of the right-of-way and utilization of the committed funds for successful project implementation. These details are contained in table 6. Town roads, a total of 3 town roads projects covering a length of 41 kilometers are under procurement and will require an estimated amount of 213 billion for implementation over the next 2 years. And the details are in table 7. National roads under procurement, but without confirmed financing. Many of these are what you have been referring to as directives in the blue letters. Among the national roads prioritized for implementation, in the Integrated Transport Infrastructure Services Program, IATS, for the National Development Plan 3 period, a total of 12 covering a length of 964 kilometers are ready in advanced stages of procurement. It is estimated that they will require a funding of 3.7 trillion without the cost of land acquisition. The details of the specific requirements for each road are on Table 8. National roads and bridges due for maintenance interventions. Currently, there are 10 paved national roads totaling 436.6 kilometers that have been technically assessed to be in the need of rehabilitation intervention. They require a funding of about 596 billion. The details are in Table 9. Paragraph 2.3.2, periodic maintenance. A total of 1,204 kilometers of paved roads have been technically assessed to be in urgent need for periodic maintenance intervention to deter accelerated deterioration to rehabilitation or reconstruction phases, which would require 5 or more times the current cost in the next 3 years. They constitute key links within the national network and require about 1.3 trillion over the next 3 years. These are in Table 10. Bridge development, 2.3.3. The national road network, which is 72% unpaved, traverses through swamps, streams, and rivers across the country. Some sections of the national road network across the country become very slippery and difficult to maneuver, and a few totally get submerged or washed away whenever it rains. We had this such an occurrence highly occurring in the Elgon and also in Bundibujo areas. The national unpaved road network has a total of 297 bridges across river crossings. Some of these bridges are as old as 70 years, while others were installed as temporary crossing to aid movement. Over time, the government of Uganda has been replacing the temporary bridges with permanent structures whose service life is about 50 years. UNRWA identified 21 small bridges across the national unpaved road network for reconstruction and 8 locations where there exists culvert lines that require replacement with new bridges. The proposed 29 bridges will form part of the future paved network when the roads are designed and upgraded to Class 2 paved standards. The selected bridges lie on Class C gravel roads and are generally in areas that have, over time, been affected by heavy rains and prone to flooding whenever the heavy rains set in. The identified bridges are more than 50 years and in very poor conditions, with missing or damaged safety facilities due to inadequate maintenance. These small bridges require a total of about 65 billion over the next 3 years, and the details are in Table 11. A total of 9 projects covering a length of 359 kilometers are under different project preparation stages. Most of these roads were prioritized in Integrated Transport Infrastructure and Services Program for the National Development Plan 3 period and identified for funding under what we had called Alternative Financing Mechanism, or FM, which I think Minister of Finance is finding difficult to accommodate. Some of these roads are under appraisal by development partners, although the funding is not yet confirmed. The details of the specific requirements for each road due for upgrading are shown in Table 12. Paragraph 3, review of the allocation for 23-24. In the next financial year, 23-24, national roads have been allocated a budget of 595 billion for development, rehabilitation, and land acquisition through the Integrated Transport Program. Based on the current contractual commitments, even if the budget for financial year 22-23 is fully released, it is projected that there will be a debt of approximately 300 billion by the end of this financial year, which will be carried forward to the 23-24 budget. This debt takes first priority, it takes first call on the budget, and is therefore included in the required resources for the next financial year. This means no allocation has been made towards works to be executed in 23-24, and neither can any rehabilitation and periodic maintenance projects be commenced unless we are confirmed, unless this situation changes. It should further be noted that the progress of externally financed projects largely depends on the speed of land acquisition to provide right-of-way for the projects and the availability of counterpart funding in accordance with the financing agreements. Therefore, the remaining amount of about 295 after removing the 300 billion from the 595 will be committed to counterpart funding to realize success on externally financed projects and reduce burden on government paying claims and fines of non-performing loans, which spells doom because we shall not be able to do any new projects unless the situation really changes. National Road Maintenance Strategy, paragraph 4, under normal maintenance of paved roads, it is desirable to undertake preventive maintenance in accordance with the operation and maintenance plan prepared for each road after completion of upgrading work to enable serve their design life. Down are the estimated costs, which these are estimates, really. For example, routine maintenance, we estimate that it would require about $2,500 to $5,000 per kilometer. Sport periodic maintenance, about 51 to 100,000, blah, 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 and other. It is evident that for every delayed maintenance intervention, the cost at the next intervention level becomes exponential in a short term. It takes about 2 to 3 years for a road to fall from periodic maintenance to rehabilitation level, increasing the cost of intervention 4 to 7 times. My committee, and I want to appreciate the Committee on Infrastructure, has been very, very categorical on the issue of maintenance funds. The outcome indicators of the above intervention ensure the preservation of the investment in the form of maximizing the asset value, where asset value is the cost of the road or bridge in its current condition after factoring in depreciation, whereas replacement value is the cost as though the road or the bridge were new or at 100% condition. As of June 2022, the total asset value of paved roads, our total asset value, is estimated at $5.2 billion, and the replacement value of US dollars, 6.9 billion. This shows that an asset loss of 21%, this shows an asset loss of 21%. The total asset value of the national roads network, including unpaved roads and bridges, is about 7 billion, with a replacement cost of 9.5 billion. International best practices in road maintenance dictate about 3% US dollars, that's of the replacement value, should be availed for preventive maintenance each year. Over the last 9 years, however, allocation to maintenance has been an average of about 1% of the value of the road network against the requested budget of 690 billion per year. This allocation is only enough to maintain about 24.5% of the national road network. It's for this reason that we have a backlog of maintenance and often let most roads slide into rehabilitation and reconstruction stages before intervention. Requested budget for adequate maintenance. From the recent analysis, about 28%, that's 1,590 kilometers of the paved road network, was found to exhibit wide cracking and moderate roughness, which triggered periodic maintenance, while 7% has severe to warning roughness, and this requires light or heavy rehabilitation. A case in point is Kampala Masaka Road. Furthermore, there are about 8,800 kilometers of unpaved roads that are due for upgrading because of the increased traffic volumes on these roads and had been identified under NDP 3. This category requires increased periodical maintenance. Even if they're still in their gravel stage, we need to maintain them and respond, especially when heavy rains happen and they damage the structures. It is therefore recommended that at least 690 billion per year be allocated and committed to sustainably undertake preventive maintenance of the national road network. This figure shall be updated annually depending on the annual assessments undertaken. In conclusion, before we embark on sustainable maintenance strategy, we need to complete the ongoing projects. We can't start new projects until we have completed these as guided by the National Planning Authority. Commence projects with the confirmed external financing, reduce the current maintenance backlog created by inadequate allocation of maintenance funds, and reconstruct aged and damaged small bridges. For example, the Sezuwa Bridge on Kayunga. In summary, the cash flow requirements for the national roads and bridges can be stated as follows. Total funds requirement for all ongoing periodic maintenance, rehabilitation, upgrading and bridges projects is estimated at 3.26 trillion over the next 3 years. This necessitates an allocation of about 1 trillion per financial year in the medium term, in the MTF. 2, total requirement for rehabilitation projects under procurement and Government of Uganda counterpart funding for externally financed national road upgrading and town roads projects is approximately 1.2 trillion in the medium term. This necessitates an allocation of about 20% advance payment, which is about 240 billion in the next financial year to enable commencement of civil works on these roads. Total requirement for national road upgrade projects in procurement but without confirmed source of funding is approximately 3.7 trillion. Most of these projects were proposed for financing under the alternative financing mechanism, whose terms and conditions appear to be very stringent for the potential contractor, and Minister of Finance is yet to advise on the way forward. But the little we understand, that Minister of Finance says it may not be tenable to employ this kind of funding. Total requirement for critical national roads and small bridges assessed for immediate maintenance intervention is estimated about 1.2 trillion. Therefore, in light of the budget suppression and inadequate releases, it's our prayer that adequate resources are allocated to prioritize and clear the following backlog. Ongoing national road projects, counterpart funding for externally financed national road projects, and procurement, because these have attract interest if we don't implement them. And already the contractors on site, if they are not financed, they will charge for idle equipment. Projects under procurement, because some of these are very critical, as you'll see in the tables. For example, Mutukula, Chotera, Masaka, Kikorongo, Bwera, Mpondwe, Nebi Arua. These are very critical roads which we need to respond to now. National roads and bridges assessed for immediate periodic maintenance and intervention. The number of bridges upon. For example, the Sezuwa Bridge I was talking about on Kayunga Road, it's over 70 years old and it's really gone. Katunguru Bridge in Kasese, that needs intervention, and other bridges on major roads. So we need to intervene on these ones. Right Honorable Speaker, members of Parliament, in the document, there is also another set of documents which give the details about the Duka roads, district and urban community access roads. In that document, you'll find reports about the damage on our national roads, which happened during the rains, and where regions and districts have submitted for intervention. We visited the sites, costed the sites. There was a directive that we should get money to intervene immediately after the rains. We have never got any money, so those roads have remained in those bad conditions. So those are the on Duka network. Also in the document, you'll find ongoing projects which we are implementing, including even the name of the contractor who's carrying out that project, so that you can also be able to supervise and be able to check out on some of those projects. In the tables, there are many tables. I don't know whether Right Honorable Speaker we could go to some of them, or I leave the members to, they must have gone through, and they can raise issues on specific ones. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, General. Thank you so much, General. After hearing what the Minister is saying, you realize what is causing a lot of these problems is inadequate provision or allocation of funds. We need to look at the issue of allocation of funds. He says he needs 690 billion. We'll need a response from the Minister of Finance in respect to that. We need money in the road fund, in the national roads. There is also an equal distribution of these roads. To ensure fairness and national character, and that is a national objective in the Constitution. It must have a national character. I did not hear Nakapiripirit. I did not hear Bukoman Simbi. I didn't. So it must have a national character. We also need to look at the local capacity of order. We need to build the local capacity of our contractors. We are not going to continue using these people from out all the time. And that's why I appreciate the bill of Honorable Shabi. Bubu. Build Uganda, buy Uganda, build Uganda. So we need to promote our local contractors. But most importantly, equal distribution of these resources. If there's a road in Masaka, let it be there in Ites also, let it be there in Honorable members, you've heard from the Minister. I am going to give only, we have a very serious matter. Is your, Mpaka, is your report ready? No, it's ready. We have a report on NSSF, which must come now.
So I think she took it for granted that we are home. And as a son, I have to follow. Thank you very much, Honorable, Right Honorable Minister, for the comprehensive report. We have been talking about this issue with the Honorable Minister of Works, and I think the problem does not lie with the ministry. I think we have to look at this squarely. The problem lies with the Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance, the problem is with you.
Yes.
And you're busy talking.
We have passed resolutions here to do with these particular matters, and they have adamantly refused to abide and comply with whatever has been passed. Parliament, for example, has talked about operationalization of the road fund, and there's nothing coming out of all those resolutions. Again, when you look at the budgetary appropriations and the releases, still money is not remitted on time. We also have an issue of appropriation and prioritization. So whatever is appropriated, again, the ministry. So I think it's my prayer, and I think I'm talking also on behalf of the Infrastructure Committee, that this matter, we should take it upon as Parliament and come up with serious resolutions. I looked at the report by the Minister, which was uploaded yesterday. It was a little bit late. But all the lamentations go to the Ministry of Finance. So I find it hard for us to keep here talking about issues to do with road maintenance, new projects. When the minister adamant is coming up with supplementary budgets which are classified on matters which we also don't know, where we have issues concerning us as parliamentarians. If the roads are not worked upon, then you cannot talk about any development. Whatever budget, this is the bottom line. My chairman at the infrastructure, the other day said we almost resolved not to see UNRWAND works coming up explaining why things are falling apart, because they are not funded, and the funding organ is Parliament. So if you don't appropriate, then what do you expect these people to come up with the projects and the maintenance? It's my prayer.
Can you conclude?
Yeah, it's my prayer, right, Honorable Speaker, that this matter be sent to the Infrastructure Committee, the report, sorry, for proper analysis. Then we come up with directives this time round to the ministers of finance. Because unless we expect to have miracles from the Minister of Works without any funding, virtually, actually, I said last time that whatever you are saying, this is a wedding budget. He comes up, it's a wedding, but you cannot perform miracles.
Yes, so we've got the message. We'll need to. Equitable distribution is not on the budget, it is by design. That is by design. Can I have
for his report, to which I believe, Right Honorable Speaker, that is becoming a norm. I feel tired because every time Honorable Katumba stands here, he stands more or less of a lamenting person, which is not giving solutions. Right Honorable Speaker, Ugandans are tired of bad roads. We've cried of budgets, law cuts, and we are not finding solution. You look at a budget, like for example, Hoima district, get 380, for the district, yes. I'm talking of the district now, Right Honorable Speaker, protect me.
If I
I'm on the district, on my...
Honorable members, if I hear anybody heckling at a colleague, I'll chase you
Thank
out.
you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Can you
In my
conclude?
case on the district roads, Right Honorable Speaker, Hoima gets 380 million for a full year. It is insufficient, and we believe we are making a mockery of ourselves.
Is that for the oily roads?
Yes, and members of parliament when we go to appropriate. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, but I believe the issue of budgeting and appropriation should be taken with very serious consideration. I thank you.
Members, we need to agree on this. The issue is on the budgets. If we can't handle the aspect of the budget, let's give this issue to finance. Finance will come and report on how much they are budgeting for the roads. That is what is important. The issue of maintenance and all that, that is in relation to money. For me, what is most important is equitable distribution of these roads. Because the distribution is by design, not because there is no money. You can still take the other money. You want to know how many roads, how many kilometers have you made in each region? Each region. Honorable Katumba, we will need that report from you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I about the status of road units to the new districts. But unfortunately, he has become silent on it. Yet the new districts, Right Honorable Speaker, are suffering. They have no road units, and Parliament appropriated the money. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, in one of the in his report, he mentions something very disturbing, that he needed 232 billions, Right Honorable Speaker, for Duka roads, 200, and he only got 80 billions. Right Honorable Speaker, I am so disturbed that this morning, Amina of Atiaka Sugar was given 274 billions on a closed Atiaka project. I don't understand what Minister of Finance thinks.
Where was she given from?
Madam Speaker, I'm a member of the Budget Committee.
But
And
excuse
this
me,
morning,
Honorable Oshabe, the rules of procedures of this House, you don't come and discuss what has been in the committee. In the House,
Madam, that is...
You're doing rumor mongering.
Madam,
Let's wait for a report from the committee to be brought to the House. For us, we don't know what is happening in your committee.
Madam Speaker, it is also public information.
No.
That the Minister of Finance gave 274 billion.
You've just apologized for hearsay. Again, you're on hearsay. Itungo.
County roads. But we have a central mechanical workshop which is meant to service the graders and all the road equipments. Now, this workshop is not facilitated. What is happening now, all the graders are grounded. The money is on the accounts of the sub-counties and the districts, but the roads cannot be worked on because the graders have no tires, they have no spare parts, they are just there. So the money is idle on the accounts, but the vehicles are not doing anything. So, Honorable Minister, I wanted to bring this to your attention, that the Central Mechanical Workshop in Mbarara is in a bad shape. We have the money, but we don't have the graders. Thank you.
Honorable members, I want to advise you next time, don't wait for the House to debate this. The Honorable Minister is available. Report such cases to the ministry. Honorable Abed.
Is the status of national roads in the country. What the minister has presented is nowhere near the status of national roads. If you ask each and every member of parliament to scan through the table that he has presented, some regions are not even reflected. So what is the minister reporting on? Secondly,
that's why I talked about national equitable distribution of these roads.
Yes,
because I didn't see some of them from my place.
And that's where my procedural matter is. So, Madam Speaker, wouldn't it be procedurally right? Twofold. First, the minister reports that cabinet sat on the 19th of December 2022 and agreed to increase funding to the road sector. It is in your report. It is on your report on the 19th of December 2022. You stated. But under it, you go and say there were budget suppressions. Under it, you say that you did not get funding, and the Ministry of Finance is seated here. Wouldn't it be procedure right that the Ministry of Finance first tells us how far you have implemented that cabinet resolution to increase funding for the road sector? And secondly, we reject this report until it has the national outlook, reporting on each and every road in this country.
Increased the funding. This is what I read. Following the midterm review of the National Development 3 Plan by National Planning Authority and a cabinet meeting held on the 19th day of December 2022, a proposal to reprioritize, not to get more funds, reprioritize funds allocated to the development of national roads was discussed, and cabinet directed that emphasis be placed on maintenance of existing roads. So where is the increase now?
Can we hear from the Minister of Finance?
Honorable Speaker.
Can we hear? There is already a motion here that we don't continue with the report.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. To emphasize what the Minister of Works has just said, because of financial constraints, we agreed as a government that there is a need to reprioritize within the existing roads on what we can do and what we can't do, with the emphasis on maintenance and also improving the Maram roads that are already in existence. Madam Speaker, the bottom line is, and it is painful, but I must say it, that the circumstances we are operating in does not give us additional money to allocate to the ever-growing priorities of government. So in the circumstances, that's why we are saying, can we reprioritize? There is a point Honorable Itungo made on
Speaker, the minister has been talking about the issue of prioritization because of lack of funding. But Madam Speaker, it is in the interest and in the knowledge of all Ugandans that Uganda is constructing a road in DRC Congo as a priority. Is the Speaker, is the Honorable Minister right really to say that the issue is about money and yet they prioritize the construction of road in DRC Congo, leaving most of the roads here not as a priority? Is he in order?
Honorable member, the road from Uganda to Congo is connecting Uganda to Congo, improving the business between Uganda to Congo, so it is part of your priorities. Honorable members, you don't need to take a lot of time on this report. One, it does not have a national outlook. We are talking about national roads. Let's have a report on issues of national roads. That's one. Two, let it have a solution, not lamentation. Honorable Minister of Works, work together with the finance and have solutions other than you coming to lament on the floor. Let him support you and tell you what is available and what you want us to do as Parliament to support you, because we need these roads. So, General, we know you need money, but tell us what can we do? Which roads can we stop and which one can we continue? Which ones are a priority? And finance, can you support? Can you support works? Yes, General?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I would like to thank the General for the observations he has made. Now that the Speaker has classified his statement in a way she has desired, I will call them observations the General has made, to request that he should give us a peek into the road contracts that come on the blue pages, on the blue papers, that are awarded on those blue papers, so that we can know how they are secured. If the honourable member from Kasese wants their road on a blue paper to come on a contract via the blue paper, what do they do with that signature, which the General is accustomed to? What do we do to get those contracts? So because they are not one of the ones is reported about, how do we get to have these roads also included? I know the Minister of Finance is also not aware. Remember, Right Honourable Speaker, we classified the challenges of those roads because they constitute borrowing without parliamentary approval. So may we know...
Did you say borrowing without parliamentary approval?
Yes,
Is there any loan that is borrowed in this country without our approval?
Yeah, you know, Right Honourable Speaker, I use graphical communication, and the Land Attorney General is aware of what I'm talking about.
Attorney General.
No, let me be as clear. When a contract is awarded from State House and it constitutes pre-financing, please construct, I'll pay, that constitutes borrowing. By any stretch of imagination, it is borrowing.
Counsel, I just want a clarification. Is there any contract that is issued from State House. Attorney General, I need a response from government, not you.
Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. There is no contract which is valid in this country which is not cleared by me. That is under the Constitution. So, and I don't sit in State House. But, right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, there is no contract that is issued other than through the correct procedures of the law. Even when you receive the blue letter, you are expected to carry out that and implement that through the proper legal procedures.
Honorable Member is not borrowing. We have an option in this House to reject the loan when it is brought here, and whoever is given a blue letter should act within the law. You should not just rely on the blue letter. General, Lope are not finished.
The Land Attorney General, he is actually putting on notice people that have been acting out of violence the law, that he will not be available to your defense. So all be aware that the Land Attorney General has put in notice that he will not be available at your defense acting on blue pages. Right, Honourable Speaker, I think the intervention of members to the General's statement is very clear. We need to get an understanding of how, for example, some projects inordinately delay, and then we get information that UNRWA returns funds to finance. The same UNRWA does not have money. And why these delayed projects at times are renegotiated at usurious rates, and we get the sense that the delays are deliberate to attract, penalties. I think this whole sector, right, Honourable Speaker, has a problem. And I'm very sympathetic to the good general because I believe he is frustrated. He wants the roads to be done very fast, like he did some in Masaka, because we were there to put pressure on UNRWA to act fast. Somebody is distracting the general who is being frustrated by people working on the roads. We need a proper understanding on what we need to do at the Parliament, because I don't think we are indictable for the nature of our roads. Secondly, is the general satisfied with the period within which these roads deteriorate? Because some roads are done in 2 years, they are gone. And they were internationally contracted. Some bridges are washed away by storms and life is normal. Some roads are here deteriorating very fast. General, is there a problem for which you need a remedy from this House? That a road can deteriorate in 2 years and then we look for more money to reconstruct, rehabilitate the same road? There's a problem. Is it contracting? Are the contractors really serious people? Right, Honourable Speaker, I visited the Mbale city in one of my oversight programs, and some of the USMID roads have been under construction for more than 5 years. The contractors abandoned some of the projects and are still getting new contracts. The members from Mbale city can bear me testimony to this problem. Is the general aware of this public waste going on in some of the USMID programs? So 5 years, one of the roads in Mbale city, in the middle of the city, was abandoned, but the contractor was fully paid. So he's bewitching us. So, right, Honourable Speaker, I think we need to get a good understanding of what is happening to this sector and support this country, support the taxpayer. We need the roads. But I want to encourage the general to speak out. We shall support you. Speak out on who is frustrating you. Who is paying the contractors with half-done work, and they get fully paid? Who is paying ahead of undone work? Who is really exaggerating the cost of the roads in Uganda? We have a record of the highest cost road in the world. It's written about in the Guinness Book of Records. I think it will be there. Entebbe Express. So who is negotiating road contracts in this country? Our engineers devoid of capacity to negotiate?
I can see how you're massaging. Can we conclude and we go to the next item?
I wanted to encourage the general to know that you are with him, to summon the courage to speak out, to expose, so that he comes here to ask for money now that we are in a budget period, but having opened up the challenge, then money will be available. And of course, with a promise from finance, that finance will stop supplying air to local governments to do their work. Yeah, I'm hearing that finance supplies air to ministries as well. Finance should be candid on how much money is available, that people can plan properly. Please be candid on your resource envelope. It's not about you, it's not personal to holder, it's a government. Tell us that you're handicapped and we support you. Work within handicap. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. And solutions from finance. You should work together with the finance, and we need a report with a national character. And I know LOP is soliciting for words from you to say so and so is frustrating you. But I don't think you're being frustrated. It is financing. Not finance, but financing. There is no money, and we must look for that money. We must appropriate that money, and the money must be released. So we'll wait for your report in 2 weeks' time. Honorable Minister, 2 weeks' time.
Respond to the issue of the road unit equipment for the 16 districts. Yeah, we got the 29 billion. The total is 55 billion. We got to the 29 billion. We have started the process of purchasing the equipment, but we have already brought it to the attention of our budget and also infrastructure committee that we need 26 billion more to bring the total for the purchase of the equipment for all the 16 districts.
Honorable Minister, we need those equipments. I know very well we budgeted for that amount. We budgeted for it. It is just the release. So we need those equipments as we undertake to do our oversight role.
Item 6, Bill second reading, the Physical Activity and Sports Bill 20
by a party to a dispute. 5.1, interpretation clause. Under the interpretation clause, that's the observation that we have made as a committee. Recommendations.
Have you gone to committee stage?
No.
Interpretation clause will come at committee stage.
Guidance, Madam Speaker. I can go to on provisions on administration and governance of the council. That one allow me also to proceed to part 2 of the bill. Incorporation of national sports federations. You allow me, Madam Speaker, to go straight to the observations of the committee. Sports federations under Companies Act 2012, beg your pardon, we repose the risk of having more than one national sports federation in respect of sports discipline being registered. This not only causes confusion and conflict in the sports sector, but also affects Uganda's participation in international competitions. The incorporation of the National Sports Federation under the Companies Act 2012 poses further challenges in instances where a national sports federation is deregistered by the National Council of Sports, but the same national sports federation continues its operations by virtue of its incorporation under the Companies Act. C, that a provision is created in the bill to provide for the mandatory collection of beneficial ownership information to the Federation to be able to meet the requirements of Recommendation 24 and 25 under FATF. The committee therefore recommends, Madam Speaker, you allow me to go to 5.4, inclusion of sources of funds of Federation and Association in the bill. And these are the observations that have been made. And the recommendation is that the declaration of sources of funds for federations should be included and adopted in the bill. There is a need to monitor the sources of funds to avoid duplication of funding of activities by the federations. They also need to link the funding of the sponsors and ensure that there are no ill motives behind the funding, such as the promotion of LGBTQ. Part 3 of the bill, administration. Madam Speaker, the committee observes that the administration of the Act is provided for under Part 3 of the government bill, while under the private members bill it is under Part 2. The committee observed that both bills provide for the management of the Act in a similar manner. Clause 24 of the government bill, which provides that a chairperson, any member of the board, or any other person authorized by any member of the board can execute or contract on behalf of the National Council of Sports, is subject to abuse. The committee recommends that the administration of the Act by the National Council of Sports, as prescribed under the government bill, be adopted. That clause 24, subclause 4 of the government bill be amended to provide that an instrument of or contract to be undertaken by the National Council of Sports can only be executed by way of a resolution of the board. Part 7, offenses and penalties. Madam Speaker, I would request that for purposes of time, since members are having spent the night with this bill, with this report, you allow me to proceed and read. The committee observes that both bills prohibit the offenses of doping, unlawful utilization of commercial rights, unauthorized use of sports results in betting, betting by specified persons, manipulation of sports competition, acts of violence and organism and broadcast of sports events organized by federations without authorization. There are offenses in the private members bill that are not incorporated in the government bill, and these include the prohibition of electronic media production and dealing with counterfeit materials. The provision in clause 45(4) of the government bill, which criminalizes the failure to report a person who intends to commit an offense, is ambiguous and unforeseeable. Recommendations. A, clause 45(3) should be amended to remove the ambiguity by prescribing that a person who knows or has reason to believe that a person has committed under subsection 1 shall report the matter to the Uganda police, the council, a person authorized by the council. The government bill should in principle capture all offenses provided for under the private members bill. The harmonization report. The harmonization report meeting reported back to the committee, and the following were some of the positions. Title of the bill. The bill should be entitled the National Sports Bill. Justification. Cabinet Principle 9, under Minute 333, in bracket CT 2013, provided the bill should take cognizance of physical activity and sports as a means to enhance national health promotion and provide for concerted collaboration between all sports and health stakeholders to develop pass and health society. However, the Ministry of Education and Sports has not yet developed a policy to support the principle. Therefore, there are no provisions relating to physical activity in the government bill. Madam Speaker, allow me to go to observations. Whereas the government bill is entitled the Physical Activity and Sports Bill, there is no policy as explained above relating to physical activity. Recommendations. The committee recommends that the aspect of physical activity be dropped from the title since there are no provisions relating to the same. Accordingly, the committee recommends that the title of the bill should be the National Sports Bill. The administration of the bill, Part 3 of the government bill and Part 2 of the private members bill. As it was agreed that the bill should be administered by the National Council of Sports, which should have 7 members appointed by the minister as proposed in the government bill. The committee further reports that at least 3 of the members of the board shall have technical knowledge, administration, or participation in sports discipline. The other 4 members of the board should have knowledge of sports. D, in appointing the members of the board, the minister should ensure that the following are represented on the board, as listed below, Madam Speaker and honorable members. E, the term of office of the member of the board shall be 4 years, and that the member is eligible for reappointment for 1 more term. Justification, due to the uniqueness of the sports sector, to grant the minister the discretion to appoint members of the board, ensuring the representation of critical sports stakeholders, the interests of the sports subsector, and technical knowledge in sports. This will ensure that only persons appointed to the board have technical knowledge in sports, thereby ensuring that growth and development of the sport sector in Uganda. Below are the observations from the committee, Madam Speaker and honorable members. Justification, to provide for a representative council and ensure that the stakeholders of the sports fraternity are represented by members of their choice.
Honorable Chair, and those part of...
I would therefore request members through you to allow me pick only the just observation and recommendation without reading stories. Need to update the reform and consolidate the law relating to sports is vital because the existing National Council of Sports Act Cap 48 was enacted in 1964 and has become obsolete. Madam Speaker, the committee recommends that both bills are harmonized into 1 bill and passed into law, subject to the attached proposed amendments. I beg to report.
Chair of Sports, Education and Sports, for your report. The floor is open.
It says that Honorable Engineer Moses Magogo proposed that sports federations are registered by the National Council of Sports as opposed to incorporation under the Companies Act to avoid bureaucracy in the incorporation of sports federations that now pertains. But on the following page, under the Attorney General's advice B, it says that the proposal by Honorable Engineer Magogo to incorporate and register sports federations by the National Council of Sports will defeat the implementation of recommendations 24 and 25. This presupposes that Magogo was proposing that they be incorporated. Yet initially, he's saying that he's against the incorporation, so it has caused confusion. I don't know which is which. What was the proposition of Honorable Magogo?
Honorable Magogo.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, members of Parliament, in my bill, that I moved as a private member's bill, my proposal was to incorporate federations exactly the same way political parties are incorporated under the Political Parties and Organizations Act. My proposal was that if a federation goes to the National Council of Sports, it comes back as a body corporate that can sue and be sued, as simple as that. However, what the Attorney General is saying that federations should first incorporate as companies limited by guarantee. And then after that, they go to National Council to be registered. And from experience, we realize that that is what is existing currently. And it causes confusion that sports federations go in another legal regime. And then after that, come back into another for them to operate. And these are some of the challenges that we've experienced. Because the federations today are registered as trustees. But this does not exactly fit into our requirements of international affiliation. And this is not the practice in many other countries. And the requirements of a company are not exactly the requirements of a federation. So we're proposing that as simple as that, why don't we just go to the regulator, that's National Council of Sports, and come back as body corporate such that we own property, we can be sued as federations. That was the proposal, and of course the Attorney General had another version of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues. Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, the issue here is where does a federation get its legal personality? That's the question. The regulation is going to be by National Council of Sports, definitely. But currently we have entities that register persons to give them legal capacity. A company is registered under the URSB, and then it goes and conducts trading business, and it is regulated under the Trading Act. However, what our colleague, the mover of the private members bill, was proposing, that we create a new mechanism of granting legal capacity under the Ugandan legal regime. While it is legally possible, I did advise that we have gone through a process of getting Uganda off the grey list under the Financial Action Task Force. And we have already declared all methods that are used in Uganda for creating legal personality. That if we make under this law a new method of creating legal personality, we are going to fall back on this process. So we were proposing that the federation should be incorporated under one of the existing mechanisms for creation of legal personality. We had proposed companies, but they said no, they don't want to be a company, but we need to find one method of creation of legal capacity for them to be incorporated. I beg to submit.
Attorney General, you are not fair to us because you've not been very clear and ambiguous. One of the ways you can create a body corporate is through an act of parliament. So is there a way we can create those other bodies under this particular bill?
That's what I'm saying, that it is legally tenable, but in the present circumstances where we are being assessed by the Financial Action Task Force for June 2023, if you create a new entity, a new method under this act of creating legal personality, Uganda will not get off the grey list.
When do we get out of that grey list?
We are supposed to be inspected in June 2023.
So can we pass the law and say it is effective from July?
Yeah, you could do that, but Right Honorable,
I'm just asking, is it possible?
My proposal, my advice to the House would be that we use one of the existing methods which have been checked and tested without trying a new one.
Honorable the Seconder.
Right, Speaker. The learned Attorney General I think just don't fix us in a box. And because of the financial task force, financial action task force, this parliament's hands are tied from creating corporate bodies under any subsequent legislation. I think there is need for us to reconcile our powers as an organ mandated to make law and our obligations under the task force. You need to reconcile the two, because the mover of the motion gave an example. I registered the JEMA party in 2005. At that time, we were registering it from the company registry. When we enacted the Political Parties and Organizations Act, because of the same reasons we are giving, creating uniformity in the law. If I have a political party to register, I only go to the Electoral Commission, which is the registry, according to that law, and I become a body corporate. And this is precisely the proposal by the mover of the motion. So I would rather that moving forward, can we reconcile our obligation as a parliament with our obligation under the Financial Action Task Force? And then we move forward. I think that's the only issue in between.
There's a procedure matter?
Processing, probably coming at a time that the chairman has already reported. There are two bills with their different principles that have been harmonized, and the chair has reported on the same. Ordinarily, we should have debated the principles separately, which in this case may not now be possible. So the procedural matter requiring you to rule on is whether, with the report harmonizing those provisions, we should again debate the principles, and yet the report by the chairman, and he's going to give us on clause by clause how they have harmonized each and every item. Wouldn't it be procedural right that now we move to that stage where we can receive the actual harmonization of the two bills?
You heard from the chair of the committee. There was a private member's report, a bill, and then there was, which was tabled on 10th November 2022, and then the government bill of 6th December 2022. The two bills were harmonized. And out of the harmonization, that is the report we got today. What Honorable Duri is saying, we should be going to committee stage now, and we look at the harmonized position, clause by clause. Is that accepted by the House? Is that seconded? I now put a question that the Fiscal Activity and Sports Bill 2022 be read for the second time. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, you recall we had a matter in this House in regard to NSSF, and we referred that matter to a select committee, and the select committee was chaired by Honorable Mpaka Mwine. Honorable Mpaka is ready to report. The report has been uploaded and is on your iPads. Can we receive the report from the Honorable Mpaka?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the report of the Secretarial Committee on the state of the affairs at the National Social Security Fund. I beg to lay the minutes and the supporting documents.
Please lay.